Hey guys, it's LeBas here and Mr. Mousy here to give you some fabulous little art tips. Now today's video is going to focus on if you are a beginner drawer. I recently received a lovely little email asking me for tips specifically if you're starting out. How do you draw? Like what things to keep in mind? So I brainstormed some ideas and I'm here to whip them up for you, so let's get into it. Tip number 1. Draw bigger. I notice that people when they're starting to learn how to draw, they're very timid and they draw like really small little figures and they'll be like the very bottom corner of the paper. No honey, you need to just go for it. Draw bigger. You're going to make mistakes, but the thing is if you're making bigger strokes, you're going to be able to see what to fix easier. It's really hard to get detailed with like this tiny little figurine, so that is definitely a big recommendation. The next really great tip that I have for you guys is to think about composition. Even if you're starting out learning how to draw, it's actually really good to get in the habit and the practice of thinking about where things are going to go on your paper. A really good way to do this is create thumbnails of the same subject matter, but you're drawing it in like multiple different ways to figure out, if I'm drawing this little plant, do I want the plant in the center? Do I want it to the side? Do I want to zoom in more? Think about things like that because that will start... I made it sound like you're going crazy. No, you're not going crazy. You're just thinking about the composition in a really unique way, and that's really important. It's going to get you in that creative spell. The third tip is really important if you are heavy-handed because, for instance, if you're doing a pencil drawing and you're doing like a base outline, you know what I mean, like of your drawing before you get in and use colors or whatever you're doing, it's going to be really important for you to have that little sketched out drawing very light so you can erase it. So what I would recommend is pick up an H2, a 4H, or a 4H pencil, and I'll show you what those look like right now. The brand that I go out and buy is by Prismacolor, so it's like these turquoise pencils. You can go ahead and find these at Michael's and you're going to see a whole bunch of different pencil leads, and that's a whole other video that I could get into, but basically what a 4H or 2H pencil is, it's a harder lead, which means it draws a lot lighter, which is really great because, you know, instead of having to draw lightly, you can just go and draw whatever you want. It's just not going to show up as dark. So this would be a great buy if you're having trouble erasing some of the lines out that you don't want. Step number 4, study them curves. Okay, so for some reason when you look in a drawing book or any kind of beginning drawing thing, they always break it down saying, look at everything as a basic shape. Circle, like square, rectangle, and everything. Well, what I would suggest is maybe you could start off with a basic circle. You're drawing an apple, right? Look at the contours. Look at those lines, those curved lines that make up a drawing. I don't know, when I was learning how to draw when I was a kid, I just really got pissed off at all those books that had, ooh, this circle. I would draw a circle and be like, okay, great, now what do like, this doesn't make sense to me. But what did make sense to me is thinking about everything as an organic shape. Tip number 5 is it is okay to guess. Instead of trying to think of everything like, okay, this is like definitely right here, must place this in and it's not going to move anywhere and it has to be perfect, think of it as, I'm going to draw this eye and I'm going to expect to erase a lot because things are going to get moved around and that's okay. The worst thing is if you're so frustrated with trying to get it perfect that you stop drawing. Now that is a problem. You need to just move on to the next step even if it doesn't even look that great. You know what? Who cares? It's a learning experience. Number 6, this is really important. What I want you guys to avoid is just going over and bolding the outline of everything you draw. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I don't know, but hopefully some of you guys maybe understood what I was saying. Number 7 is create a variety of strokes. That makes your drawing more interesting. When you have lots of little lines and stuff going in and out, creating thick and thin lines adds a lot of interest to your drawing. So there you go. Let's do a little recap here. Number 1, draw bigger. Bam! Number 2, think about composition. You'll be ahead of the game. Number 3, get a 2H pencil lead. Number 4, study the curves. Number 5, it is okay to guess. Number 6 is to refine your edges, not define your edges. Lastly, create a variety of strokes because it makes the drawing more interesting. Okay, I hope that was really helpful to anybody that's beginning drawing. Feel free to subscribe and I love you all. Mwah!